Hey guys, thanks so much for being here for yoga class today. I'm really excited to introduce my brother on screen for class. I'm actually suffering from a sinus infection right now, so I'm not able to comfortably move my body. So my brother has graciously arrived at my house today to help demonstrate some postures. And while he's demonstrating the postures that I'm cueing, I'm going to show you some modifications that you can make because when you're practicing at home, sometimes we're following along and we're paying attention to the directions. In today's class, you'll learn how you can modify in some ways to get even more out of your practice. So we'll be moving through the postures at a slower pace so that we can achieve that today. So I'll have us actually start off in a reclined position. So you're going to come onto your back on your mat. So I'll move out of the way to give Joe some space to go ahead and do that. Now for this class today, you might want to go ahead and grab a couple blocks if you have them to assist you. And as we start our practice, we're going to open our feet the width of the mat. So go ahead and bring the pinky edges of your feet towards the mat. And then let the knees drop in towards each other. Now from here, you can leave your arms by your sides, or you can bring your palms to your belly. As you decide where you want your arms to be, think about tucking your chin towards your chest to lengthen the back of the neck, the cervical spine. Bring your gaze inward, close your eyes, and just start to focus on your breath. Inhaling all the way to the top of the breath. And when you're ready to exhale, slowly release. Now, if your hands are at your belly, as you inhale, you'll feel the belly rise with each inhalation. And when you're ready to exhale, you'll feel the belly soften. So this way you can bring your awareness to how your belly is moving with your breath. And in this time of transitioning from the first part of your day into your practice, by lengthening your breath, you're able to calm your nervous system, to down-regulate, to reduce stress and anxiety, and start to feel good in your body. Also, by practicing this breath, this is going to help us pace ourselves in our movement as we incorporate the postures. So let's take one more full round of breath. Inhale all the way to the top. Feel the belly rise. Exhale, feel the belly soften. Great, now we're going to start to move the body. So from here, we'll just open the arms out to the side. So go ahead and bring your wrist in line with your shoulders. And then lift your feet. So lift your feet off the mat. Position your knees above your hips and your ankles in line with your knees. Go ahead and bring your feet together, knees together. Take an inhale breath. As you exhale, take both knees over to the left. Practice keeping that right shoulder down. On your next inhale, take the knees back up to center. Exhale, take both knees to the right. Practice keeping the left shoulder down. So we're starting off with some gentle spinal twisting. Continue to move with the breath. Remember, on the exhale, you're taking the knees to one side, and on the inhale, you're bringing the knees to center. We'll take one more on each side. And then bring the knees up. Pausing here. So spinal twisting is really good for detoxifying. We always want to start taking the knees over to the left to aid in digestion with a descending colon. Now from here, we'll transition into happy baby. So we'll keep the feet lifted, but we're going to rotate the feet up so the soles of the feet are facing up towards the ceiling. Now, as we bring the feet up towards the ceiling, we want to take the knees open wide. Now from here, there are lots of different areas where you can grab on. So Joe's grabbing onto his ankles, but we want the soles of the feet facing up. So it might be more comfortable for him to grab the back of the knees and then rotate the soles up. Yep, and then open the knees as wide as you can. Good. Now pull the knees down, but keep them wide. We'll start to feel into the hips. If you've reached for your ankles, your big toes, or the outside of your feet and your tailbone is lifted, then you're going to want to reach somewhere else. So as you can see, Joe's grabbing the back of his knees. His tailbone is flat, so this is good. Keep the soles of the feet facing up to the ceiling. Now decide if you want to stay here or you can gently rock from side to side. Now, as you gently rock from side to side, you'll get a nice little massage in your back, pressing into the muscles of the back, letting any tension go. Another option you can take is that you can straighten one leg as the opposite knee stays bent. Just getting a deeper stretch for the legs if you're ready for that. And then trying that on the other side. And then maybe you try to practice straightening both legs at the same time. And then bring the knees back to center. And gently release the hands, bring the soles of the feet down to the mat. Take a full round of breath here. Inhale deeply. Exhale, let it go. Great, now from here we're going to get a deeper stretch for the hips. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that your heels are in line with your glutes. You might even shimmy the heels closer. Now we're going to do this one side at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and have Joe lift his right foot and take his right ankle to his left thigh. So it's going to be just above the knee. If you have trouble getting it there, you can shimmy your left foot forward and then take the ankle just above the knee. So you don't want it on the knee because you don't want bone on bone. So think just above the knee. Now from here, we're going to lift the left foot. And we want to lift the left foot enough to where the ankle is in line with the knee. And now we feel a stretch in the right glute. So we're going to take it a little further. Joe's now going to take his right hand between his legs, reaching through. Left hand comes around the outside of the left thigh and see if the fingers will interlace. So he's lifted his head to make this connection. He's going to want to bring his head back down. So this is really important. I see people holding their head up a lot. We don't want to do that in this position. Now, the more you pull your thigh towards your body, the deeper you're going to feel the stretch. So you decide how far you want to take it. Try to keep that ankle in line with the knee. And then just breathe. So remember, for more intensity, you can pull the leg closer towards you. If it's too much, you can back out a little bit. Now, as you're getting this stretch at the right hip, you can also draw circles with your left big toe for ankle mobility for your left ankle. And then if you're taking the circles, go ahead and circle around opposite direction. Let's take one more round of breath here on this side. And then as you exhale, release your hands, gently lower that left foot to the mat. And then release the right foot, bring the right foot to the mat. Pause here, full round of breath. Inhale through the nostrils. Exhale, open your mouth, sigh of relief. Awesome, let's take it to the other side. So now we lift the left foot, bring the ankle just above the right knee. So we're rotating that knee out on the left side for external rotation. Again, we make sure that the ankle bone is not on top of the knee, but just above. And then once we have that set up, we lift the right foot. Remember, we want to position the ankle in line with the knee. Left hand reaches between the legs, right hand around the outside, fingers interlace, head comes back down, and now we feel into the left hip. Now, you might notice that one side might feel tighter than the other. That's really common. Most of us have one side tighter than the other. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Just know that you're stretching out both sides. So the level of intensity on this side might vary depending on how tight this side is. So again, if you want a deeper stretch, pull the thigh towards your body. If it's too much, then back out a little bit. Now, while you're holding the leg with your hands, you can draw circles with your right big toe for ankle mobility. And then circle around opposite direction. Last round of breath on this side. Inhale all the way to the top of the breath. Exhale, let it go. Now release the hands, let the foot drop down. Release the left foot, bring it to the mat. Full round of breath here. Inhale through the nostrils. Exhale, open the mouth, sigh, relief. Great, so those were a few reclined positions, and the reclined positions we call supine in yoga. So we're gonna now change the station of the body from reclined or supine to seated. So there are two different ways that you can get there. A more dynamic way would be to lift your feet, take your hands behind your knees, and rock up and down the spine a few times using your momentum to come onto your seat. If that's not comfortable for you, then you can roll over to one side and then press up that way. So just taking your time to find that comfortable seat. And for this next one, I'm gonna join Joe. So we're having some awesome brother-sister yoga time. The one that we're gonna come into next is going to be for spinal extension and flexion. So I would take my palms down to my thighs, and we're just letting the hands rest here. As you inhale, you're gonna open your heart, send it forward, shoulders go back. And as you exhale, you're gonna bring your shoulders forward, belly button towards your spine. Inhale, open the heart, send it forward. Exhale, round the spine. So each time you inhale, open the heart, shine it forward, you're getting extension for the spine. And each time you round the spine, you're getting flexion. Continue to move with your breath. Another option here is that you can take one hand to your heart center and the other hand on top. So just decide which hand placement you like. Maybe you try both. And we'll take one more full round. This is our seated cat-cow. And then we'll find center. Staying in our seated position, now we're gonna start to move the torso around. So I'm just gonna scooch a little, give a little more space. Now, if you took your hands to your chest, you are gonna bring your palms back down to your thighs. And as we circle the torso around, we're gonna think about starting with the right side. So you'll take your right ribs towards your right knee. As you inhale, shine your heart forward, move over to the left. Exhale, belly button towards your spine. Continue to move around and let your body move at the pace that it wants to. So you might go at a slower pace today, or you might really want to fire things up and go faster. This is totally up to you. The important thing is to keep your hips grounded. Now, as you're moving around, if you find an area that feels sticky or tight, you can pause there and breathe into it, taking a longer hold. Or you can continue to move as you're ready. When you're ready, start to circle around opposite direction. So this movement is called Anahata Kriya. Anahata is the heart's energy center, or chakra. You might have heard these words. Chakra means wheel. And the energy centers are called that because they move in a clockwise direction. So Anahata being the heart energy center, and Kriya is a cleansing technique. Let's take a few more in this direction. We'll let the circles become smaller. Maybe for the next couple breaths you find an area that's sticky or tight. Just pausing there, letting the congestion go. And as you release out, finding your way to center. And as you find your way to center, think about reaching the crown of your head up towards the sky and still rooting down in your seat. Pause here for a full round of breath. Inhale deeply, top of the breath. Exhale, open your mouth, let it go. Good. Now, I know Joe, and I know that he has some upper body stress and tension here, which a lot of us do. It's very common. So we're going to work some of that out. Let's take our hands outside of our hips. As we inhale, we'll shrug the shoulders up to the ears, and as we exhale, we'll take the shoulders back and down. Inhale, shrug the shoulders up. Exhale, take them back and down. Continue to move in this direction. And take one more. I'm going to move out of the space so I can give Joe a little more room for what we're coming into next. So the next time the shoulders come up, back, and down, just let them relax. Now from here, we're going to come into a stretch for the side body. Side body is a part of the body that gets stretched the least. So we really want to get into this area and let that congestion go. So I'm going to have Joe scoot to the middle of the mat so I can show you how to get some proper modifications here. So first of all, if your legs are uncomfortable, modify the way that they are. Know that we're going to be moving to one side first and then to the other side. So one side at a time. Starting off, our hands are going to come outside of the hips. Inhale, sweep the arms up, reach the fingertips towards the sky. Good. Now, I'm going to hold one of his hands up. The other hand's going to come down to the mat in line with his hip. On an inhale, you're going to reach those top fingers up. And as you exhale, you're going to lean over to your grounded hand. Now, what happens a lot here is that we start to collapse. So we want this top arm above the ear, and we want to reach through the fingers. Now we're stretching the side body. You might notice that you might want to walk your grounded hand further away from your hip, especially if you can fold more. So just play around with that. Now I'm standing behind Joe and I've got my leg at his back so his back doesn't come back, so he can keep this alignment. Now another thing that you can do is you can bring a block under your forearm if your forearm is almost down to the ground but not so much. On the next inhale, reach both arms straight up, reach, 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 and then exhale, opposite hand grounds down. Remember, keep it in line with the hip. Inhale, reach the top fingers up, and then exhale, lean over. Remember, bicep above the ear, hips stay down. So a gentle reminder is to just give a little weight to that thigh. Take one more round of breath. Nice deep stretch for the side body. Inhale, lift the arms up. And we're going to take it one more time. Exhale, lower. Inhale, reach the fingers up. Exhale, lean over. Good. Now you might notice the second round that you might go a little deeper. An option that you can do here for an assist is you can take a weighted blanket to your thigh to help keep the thigh down. That's going to provide a deeper stretch. And then on the next inhale, we're going to reach the arms straight up. And then exhale, let's set it up on the other side. So I'm standing behind, assisting Joe, holding his back up. You can achieve this by sitting up against a wall if your back has a tendency to lean back. And now we start to feel a deeper opening now that we've come into it 2 times. On the next inhale, we're going to rise up. And then exhale, bring both hands down. Good. Now as your hands relax down, take a full round of breath here. Exhale, let go. And now we're going to open the legs wider. So as you can see, the way that Joe's positioned, he's at the center of the mat. This is how I would recommend it, because when you open your legs out, if you have a harder surface floor, that could be uncomfortable for your feet. If you're on carpet, it might not matter much. But I'm going to have Joe go ahead and open his legs. So you're going to take the legs away from each other. And how much you open your legs is going to depend on if your knees pop up, then you're gonna need to shorten the distance of your feet. So Joe's got his calf muscles down and his hamstrings down, and that's what we wanna do. Now notice he's got his hands behind his back. We're gonna see if he can walk his hands forward in line with his hips and then forward in front of his legs. Good. Now before we come into the actual stretch, we're gonna get a nice stretch for our feet because our feet are so important. We use them so much and we don't give them enough love. So as we inhale, let's point the toes, and as we exhale, let's flex the feet. And then again, inhale, point, exhale, flex. One more round. Movement following the breath. Good. Now, Joe's hands are in front of him, which is exactly where we want them to be. On the next posture that we're gonna take, this is gonna be a nice stretch for the back, the inner thighs. You might feel it in the hamstrings and also in the hips. So as you inhale, reach the crown of your head up, and as you exhale, fold forward. Now, as you can see, Joe's knees have popped up, so I'm gonna have him bring his feet closer together to avoid that from happening. So the distance that you have your legs is gonna depend on how flexible you are. So I'm standing behind him as an assist so his back doesn't come back. If you don't have someone to assist for you, you can bring your back all the way up against a wall space. So if your back is tight, you might go backwards. If your back is more open, then you might be able to fold forward. So just check and see where you are. And with each exhale, see if you can fold a little deeper. Now, because Joe's knees have a tendency to want to come up, I'm going to support his knees by taking a block underneath. This way, he doesn't have to worry about holding tension in his body. He can now fully let his legs relax and just focus on folding forward with each exhale breath. So I'll give him a few rounds of breath to do that. And as you're doing it as well, bring all of your awareness and your attention to how you're breathing. See if you can find length in the breath. Remember, by lengthening the breath, you can calm your nervous system. Let's take one more full round. And on your next inhale, lift the head up. Good. And then we'll just remove the blocks from underneath the knees. We'll set them aside. And I'm just going to take them off the mat. And now I'm going to have Joe change the station of his body from seated to kneeling. So you're going to come onto your hands and knees, positioning yourself on the middle of the mat. And you want the hips above the knees, just like he's demonstrating. And then you want the wrist underneath the shoulders. Now, when you look to your hands, spread your fingers wide as you can. Press your palms to the mat. Now coming back into the spine, as you inhale, let your belly soften. Good. And as you exhale, lift your back like a Halloween cat. Nice. See this nice arch? And then inhale, belly softens. Keep the arms straight. Exhale, lift the back. Imagine you're trying to tap the ceiling with your upper back. Now, as you inhale, keep those arms straight. And then again, movement is following the breath. Good. And then we'll come back to a neutral tabletop position. From here, we're going to curl the toes and we're going to lift the hips as if we're coming to down dog, but we're going to walk the feet forward, coming into a forward fold. So as your feet make their way towards your hands, you're going to inhale, take a half lift, and then exhale, fold. Now, depending on your forward fold, if your hands don't meet the mat, you're going to take your hands to your blocks instead. If your hamstrings are tight, the back of your thighs, you're going to want to keep your knees bent. If your hamstrings are open, then you can straighten your legs. Now, we want to come into this forward fold because This posture helps to decompress the spine. We're able to stretch the back of the body, and this is a really nice posture to help us with relaxation. Here you want to let the head dangle. There's no need to hold the head up. Just relax the head and the neck. So maybe you shake the head forward and back. Maybe you shake it from side to side. And another really great option that I like to take in the forward fold is to bend one knee deeply while you practice straightening the opposite leg. And then try that on the other side. Now, as you're doing this, the leg that's straight, you can feel a really nice stretch going up the leg and into the hip. Maybe start to even things out or take one more on each side. And then bend both knees, come back to center. And we're slowly gonna roll up bone by bone, little by little. Take your time, head comes up last. And as we roll up to our standing position, we're now in Tadasana, mountain pose. The palms are facing forward, arms are by the sides. Now, we have a tendency in our practice and in our life to really hold tension in the shoulders and hug the shoulders up to the ears. So what we want to do is we want to relax the shoulders. Imagine there's a weighted blanket on your shoulders. Just let them drop down away from the ears. Now, a lot of us have low back issues. This is a lot to do with how we stand. So if you have a tendency to lock out your knees, you're going to want to take a little micro bend in your knees. And then think about pulling your belly button towards your spine. Now that's going to be safer for your back. Now as you stand in your Tadasana pose, focus on coming back to your breath. Inhale to the top of the breath. Exhale, open the mouth, let it go. Nice. And again, hearing the sound of your voice with each inhalation and each exhalation. Really hearing that pranayama, this life force energy. Good. Now check where you are on the mat. Go ahead and step your feet towards the top of the mat. We're going to practice some standing postures. So I like to start off by taking hands to the hips. And then I'm going to have Joe step his right foot back so that he lands on his right toes. So we're going to do a deeper step back. So we want to take our toes towards the back of the mat. Now, as we take our toes toward the back of the mat, we want to take a bend in the left knee. Good. Now, we don't want the knee going past the toes. Now, for those of you that have tight calf muscles, you can practice pressing your heel towards the mat to stretch out that calf. Now, your hands can stay on your hips, or you can reach your arms forward and fingertips up towards the sky. So now we're in our crescent lunge. And as you can see, Joe is gazing forward. That's where we want to look. Now, one thing that tends to happen here is that the knee can come in. And we want the knee to open out so that we can see the big toe. That way we don't tweak the knee or the hip. Okay, now because he's been holding this for a few rounds of breath, I'm going to go ahead and have him bring his hands down to his hips. And then he's going to step his right foot in line with his left. Coming to the top of the mat, and now we're going to try that on the other side. So now he's going to step the left foot back about the same distance. And he wants to come onto the toes with the heel lifted. And then here you can press that heel back to get that stretch in the calf muscle. So it might take you a minute or two to see how much you want to step back. If you feel like your legs are going to split apart and you're really uncomfortable, then you might want to shorten the distance of how far you've stepped back. If you feel like you can go deeper, then try that. So give yourself a moment to figure out what that distance is for you. Then remember, we don't want the knee coming past the toes, and we don't want the knee coming in. We want to open it out so we can see that big toe. Now the hands can stay at the hips, or the arms can reach forward and up. Crescent lunge, gaze is forward, activating the legs, finding strength. So here, building strength with our crescent lunge posture. And let's take one more round of breath here. Now we're going to step that left foot in line with the right, bringing both feet to the top of the mat. From here, we're going to practice Warrior One. So crescent lunge and Warrior One are very similar. The difference is in crescent lunge, the one that we just did, we're bringing the toes back. In Warrior One, the entire foot comes back and the foot is positioned at 45 degrees. So I'm going to have Joe step that right foot back. And right now he's got it at 90 degrees. So we're going to bring the toes in, yes, for 45. So we want to focus on pressing to the pinky edge of the foot. A really great way that you can feel this is to have someone press their foot. And then you want to bring your arms forward. Now, what happens, just like you did in crescent lunge, and bend the front knee. Fingertips towards the sky. Yes. Now, here you can see the hips are twisted to the right. This is very common. To get the hip points facing forward, you can shimmy that left foot towards the left side of the mat. And then that's going to help turn those hips forward more. Okay, so just a little tip there for modification. So this is our Warrior One. Now, before we come into Warrior One on the other side, we're going to come into Warrior Two on this side. So now this back foot is going to turn to 90 degrees. So we just send the toes in line with the heel. We keep a bend in the left knee. And now the arms are going to reach away, fingers away from each other. Good. And now your gaze is to your left middle finger. So if the left foot is in front, you're gazing to the left middle finger. Now we make sure that we can see the big toe. We're pressing to the pinky side of the foot. A lot of activation and strength building. Now we don't want to lean forward and we don't want to lean back. Okay? Warrior Two. Now we're going to continue to move on this side. So from Warrior Two, we're going to lower this back arm and we're going to lift the fingers up, 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 up. You might stay here or you might reach overhead. Now you want to keep a bend. I see a lot of people losing the bend in the knee with the reach back. So a nice reminder is to just keep that knee bent but not coming past the toes. Reaching the fingers up or back. And then coming back to Warrior Two. Good. Now I'm going to have Joe step his right foot forward in line with the left and take a full round of breath there because we did 3 postures and we're going to do those postures on the other side, but we might want to give ourselves a break there, some breathing room. So now coming into the other side, I'm going to have him step, so you can keep your feet here. Now he's going to step his left foot back. Left foot's going to land at 45 degrees. Good, perfect. Now bend in the right knee. Arms reach forward and up. We want to make sure the knee's not coming in. And then if we notice that our hips are twisted to the left, we can shimmy that right foot over to the right side to get the hips pointed forward. Just a little adjustment that's going to make a significant impact in your practice. So just think about those little shifts and modifications and try them out. See what your body really responds to. Now, transitioning from our Warrior One to Warrior Two, all we need to do here is move this back foot to 90 degrees, toes in line with the heel, and then we open the arms out. Now, because Joe's got his right foot forward, he's gazing at his right middle finger. Strong foundation. Warrior Two. Lots of strength, lots of concentration. Now, one thing to note is we opened this foot wider to get the hip points facing forward. When you're in your Warrior Two, it might be more comfortable for you to have your front heel in line with your back heel or your front heel in line with your back arch. Okay. And now I'm going to have Joe drop his hand to his back thigh. And as he inhales, he's going to reach his fingers up towards the sky and then overhead. keeping that bend in the knee, and then opening up the side body the more you reach back. Holding for another round of breath here. Strong standing postures. Working on that strength in the body and that muscle engagement. Now I'm going to have him go ahead and step his left foot forward. And as he comes to the top of the mat, give him a chance to have a few rounds of breath. Because sometimes when we're taking these longer holds, we need a little bit of time to reset and re-lengthen the breath. Sometimes when we're focusing a lot on our postures, we lose sight of how we're breathing and our breath can become short, especially if there's a lot of thought involved. So take a moment now to close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, remember, take a little micro bend in the knees and then pull your belly button towards your spine. Now relax the shoulders. Find your breath. Inhale to the top of the breath. Exhale, open the mouth, let it go. Sigh of relief, big release here. And again, inhale to the top of the breath. Exhale, let go. Feel this pranayama, this life force energy within you. One more round. Inhale to the top of the breath. Exhale, let go. Nice. All right, so because I've had Joe take some longer holds in these standing positions, we're going to give our legs a break and we're going to come back into the upper body, the shoulders specifically. So the next thing that we're going to do, if you can't reach your own hands, then you can grab onto a strap. So I'm going to see if Joe can reach his own hands with the fingers interlaced. Okay. So we've got a little bit of a let go, got a little bit of a twist here, interlaced that way. There we go. Now, if your hands don't meet, this is where you're going to take a strap. If you don't have a yoga strap, you can use a belt or a scarf or a rolled up blanket, but essentially you would take it between your hands and then you would lift this way. Because Joe can grip his own hands, we're going to demonstrate with this. So this is going to be shoulder stretching and chest and heart opening. So if you ever want to cultivate love and compassion, heart openers are an awesome way to do that. Again, if you've got a lot of stress in your upper back, this is going to be a really great movement to release some of that tension. So the movement's going to come with the breath. First, what I want you to do when your fingers are interlaced is practice pressing your palms together and really straightening those arms. Now, as you inhale, you're going to lift the fist away from your body. Exhale, let them go. And then again, inhale, lift. Exhale, let go. One more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, let go. Good. Now let's release the hands, shake them out. And then let's take the hands in front of us. So we're going to interlace the hands again, taking them to the front. Now, as you inhale, lift the fist above the head so that your ears are between your biceps. Exhale, lower your wrist in line with your shoulders. Inhale, lift them up again. Exhale, lower. Let's take one more. Feel the strength in the shoulders. Shoulders are really important. We do so much with them. And then as you exhale, let it go. Now we can incorporate these two movements together if you'd like. So to start it off, we're going to bring the hands forward, interlace. As you inhale, lift the arms up. As you exhale, release the hands, take them behind your back. Interlace, so I'll demonstrate from the back view while Joe keeps the front view. Inhale, lift the fist. Exhale, lower. Release. Take the hands to the front. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Lower the arms behind you. Reconnect. And then one more round. Movement following the breath. Now release, or take one more if you want to. It's up to you. Again, shake everything out. All right. Now from here, we're going to go from a standing position down to the mat in a prone position. So prone means that your belly is going to be down on the mat. So I'm going to have Joe come onto his belly. Now, as you come onto your belly, go ahead and stack one hand on top of the other and position your forehead down onto your hands. So you're going to open your elbows wide. Good. Now, uncurl the toes, just let the feet rest. Now, as you're on your belly, this is a really great way to get a little abdominal massage because as you're inhaling, your belly is pressing to the mat, and as you exhale, the belly is softening. So we're just allowing ourselves an opportunity to ground down after our standing work, after moving through a variety of stations of the body. And we're just going to continue to lengthen that breath. So all of our awareness right now is in how we're breathing, the quality of the breath, the length of the breath, and the intention. Inhaling all the way, exhale, slow release. We'll take a couple more rounds. Now, if you feel that you need grounding, you're going to stay here. If you would like an opportunity to get a little energy boost through some spinal extension, then you're going to bring your arms by your sides. We're going to practice our Superman pose. So on the inhale breath, you're going to lift your head, lift your arms, lift your legs, and then as you exhale, bring your hands down under your shoulders. Now you're going to use your energy to lift your hips and at the same time push the mat away, straightening your arms. So we're coming into child's pose, transitioning. Now the reason why we want to come into child's pose after that little extension of the spine is to get a nice counter stretch. So now we're coming back to flexion as we round the spine. So your hands can be forward or your arms can be by your sides. And here I'm going to take a little prop, I'm going to take a little blanket, and I'm going to position it between Joe's hips and feet so that his hips aren't hovering and he can have the support of the prop to really ground down on. Now, if you've got your arms by your sides like he's demonstrating, this is a really great way to release and relax the shoulders. Now his head touches the mat, so I don't need to modify him here. If your forehead does not touch the mat, then you can position a block or a blanket there to make that connection, to bring the floor up to you. So again, we can get a nice little massage for the belly, for our digestion, especially if your knees are together. As you inhale, feel the belly pressing to the legs, and as you exhale, feel the belly soften. Staying in this pose, in this shape, all you need to do here is focus on your breath, the quality of your breath, the length of your breath. Preparing to come out. On your next inhale, slowly let your head rise up. Take your time, there's no rush. If you've got a prop, you can remove it. And we'll just bring the feet to one side. We're going to come onto our backs. I'm going to let Joe set up for Shavasana. And he's been such a good sport today that I'm going to set him up in a really comfy, relaxing way. So he's going to come down to the mat. Now, if you've got some low back issues and you would like some support, then it's a really great idea to either bring the blocks underneath the knees or let the blocks rest underneath the calf muscles. So either one of those options will be really good for you. And if you really want to feel nurtured in your Shavasana, you can grab onto a layer, letting yourself just take a little teeny tiny nap. Some of us really love Shavasana and really appreciate this time of integration and relaxation. And for some of us, it can be really difficult to be still, especially if we have a really active personality. Type A people really struggle with this. But just know that we've got about 1,440 minutes in our day, and it is perfectly okay for you to take a few minutes to just be without doing, to let your body integrate all the work that you've done, knowing that you moved through this class with intention, really thinking about not only the posture, but how to position yourself correctly so that your alignment is safe, so that you can avoid injury. Now, for a class this length of time, I would recommend about 7 to 8 minutes of Shavasana. You can decide if you want longer or if you need shorter. You might decide to opt out of Shavasana, and that's totally up to you. So we are going to end our class together here today. You stay in relaxation as long as you would like. Thank you so much for being here. It is my honor, and I am grateful to be here guiding you in this beautiful practice today. Namaste.